The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with God. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same, in hope, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption to it, the redemption of our body. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces, like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth.
YAHAWASHI,
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahawashi, Bahashim, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders, GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples for his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful that got there pushing his word and truth, and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahawashi, Bahashim, and Kakadash, pushing to get about it. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh, Yahawashi. All right, what I want to go into in this lesson, the only way out is Yahawashi. As you have, let's see, let's pull this up. As we see, a lot of people are beginning to complain, about, this system, okay, complain about the condition of the earth. Okay, a lot of our people, even some of our people, are coming to the conclusion, all right, that this whole system just isn't right. Okay, and our people, can have complaints, all right, which that's a start. Okay, but what's the solution to the complaints? Okay, and that's why the scriptures, are known as a comfort, because they give an end game. Okay, they give a solution to the problem at hand. You see, it's one thing to be aware, all right, of Esau Edom, because the scriptures say, he was going to make Esau bare. So Esau is exposed like never before. The Lord has Esau out there. You see, he's been stripped down. You see, the secrecy that he was able, these elites, were able to maneuver in, for centuries. But those things are gone. Right? The spirit has, pulled the curtain on Esau Edom. Okay? So as our people, you have certain of our people, they can, recognize that the system is off. But wait, that's only the beginning. Okay, when you go into the Bible, well, you go into solutions. Matter of fact, before we go there, um, let's read this. This is the book of St. John, chapter 14, verse 6. And it says, it's YAHAWASHI speaking. YAHAWASHI said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Okay? So there's only one way out of the situation we in, and that's through YAHAWASHI. Okay? He's the captain of our salvation. You see, he's the one that's going to conquer the earth in righteousness and establish a righteous government, all right, the everlasting righteous government in the earth. And that's the solution to the problems that we see that plague the earth. Okay. It begins with the wicked rulership of Esau Edom. Okay. And only Yahushua has the power to completely remove, okay, Esau Edom from power. Okay. Put these heathens in submission. Okay. And establish a righteous government. Okay. Beginning with himself and the rest of the first fruits and the first fruits, okay, of the nation of Israel, 12,000 men from each tribe, okay, that was predestined to be part of this everlasting righteous government, okay, 1/3 of our people being delivered, changed, us all being changed. Well, all that comes through Yahushua. We talk about the new bodies that's going to be perfect and righteous. Well, that comes with Yahushua, and those that are serving Yahushua now are going to be the ones, all right, they're going to get those new bodies, okay, which is a part of their reward. You see? So when we complain, we understand the solution to the complaint, and it's Yahushua. All right? And like I say, we understand it fully. To complain about this nigga. You see? But then you got to bring everything home with the understanding of Yahushua. Okay? Because you go here, our forefather Asaph, all right, which he was a Levite, the part of King David's choir. Okay, he was a singing priest. Now when you go to Psalm 73:5, all right, it says, I started 2, said, but as for me, my feet were almost gone, my steps had well nigh slipped. Okay, and it's gonna go into why. You see, when you read this psalm, all right, Asaph is gonna begin to complain, okay, about the wicked. You see, and it's the situation that we're in today. Okay, Psalm 73:3 said, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. Yeah, because you look at the devil, and you look at how he has his hands on everything. That's another thing people are trying to wiggle out, create these parallel systems and try to survive outside of, the tyrannical system that's in place. Okay, because this devil, he controls so much. He has so much authority, okay, in the earth, and he's the wicked. You see, when people, call themselves trying to do the right thing, and they begin to realize, wait a minute, it's corrupt all the way to the top. You got people that go into certain fields with the mindset they're gonna make change, they're gonna make a difference, they're gonna, do this and do that. That's where a lot of them whistleblowers and them insiders come from, is people that had the mindset that they was gonna go do good and do right and serve the people, and then they find out that wait, everything's a scam, a scheme. These people are, rich beyond comprehension. Okay, and the corruption goes all the way to the top. So say if I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked, for there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. Yeah, these devils, these oligarchs, okay, these top Edomites, even these upper middle class Edomites, from the upper middle class unto the oligarchs of Esau Edom. They don't die in debt. Okay, they die with assets to be passed down. okay, and to be expanded. Their children get to have assets, born into assets, and then be able to capitalize on those assets, through the networks that they're a part of. So these Edomites have had a strong network, okay, of wealth for a long time. You see, it says they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Yeah, they don't deal with the worries, okay, of common men. Like I said, this is from the upper middle class Edomite to these elites. Okay, they're not worried about gas going up and down. Okay, you think a billionaire is concerned about a gas price? Okay, you think he's concerned about all right how much a carton of eggs cost? Okay, these Edomite families with all this disposable income, they're not worried about all right, like I said, the high gas prices, and, the high groceries, and you see, because they have you know so much disposable income that those things don't affect them. You see, that's why even going into YAHAWASHI, leading up into the time of YAHAWASHI, the Lord's going to bring great judgment. He's going to bring all right judgments to where that money doesn't matter. You see, you got judgment that's to come, okay, and money is not going to be a factor, man. You see, it says verse 6. It says, "Therefore pride compasses them about as a chain, violence covered them as a garment." Man, and this is the elites, okay, and how they take everything through violence. Okay, they'll push propaganda. They find out certain nations are rich in this and rich in that. Well, what do? They begin to push a smear campaign on the leader. Okay, to justify what? Bringing in the sword, the violence. Okay, and then pillaging. Okay, their resource. Okay, and this is a method that the devil used all throughout the world. Certain ones we hear, that are more, unknown. Like we always going to, Libya, with Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein in Iraq, Bin Laden in Afghanistan, all right, Fidel, Castro in Cuba, so forth and so on. Okay, but that whole thing, when there's a resource, okay, or this certain lands are strategic for them, okay, because they're in a non-stop war. Okay, well, what do, man? They have methods to where they can demonize and set up false flags. And what do? They're setting up to justify violence. All right, and they're very proud because they've been doing this for centuries, man. They've been able to pull these things off for centuries. You see, colonizing the earth through violence. Okay, and it has made them very proud. Okay, and they're peeking out in their pride where the Lord's getting ready to judge and bring their pride to a halt. Okay, verse 7 said, "Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish." Okay, so their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish, man. This devil, has so much. You look at these devils and these few families, they own this, they own that, they own this, they own both of them, they own, you see, they have this country, they have this resource, they have this, you see, they have more than heart could wish, man. Okay, because you have these small percent, okay, of Edomites to have all the world, the majority of the world's wealth trickles to them. Okay, and it trickles to them. You see, so these devils have far more, all right, than what's needed. Okay, while the earth suffers, man, the people complain about this system, but guess what? What's going to be the solution? Okay, a few families getting a homestead. It's not, it's cool if you can do that. Okay. But you ain't gonna grow your own food out this situation, man. This nigga, he's too powerful, man. He would destroy that. Okay. So you're going back to it. You know, these complaints about this system, you know, and say people are, you know, speaking out against the corruption, you know. And I said even some of our people, well, the solution is YAHAWASHI. Okay. And the only way to fix, you know, this rigged, okay, economy, well, YAHAWASHI gonna come, okay, and resolve it. You see, you know, to bring justice upon Esau, well, YAHAWASHI is gonna do that. Okay. So when you jump down, as Asaph was complaining, okay, but then he came to a realization. You see, Psalm 73:16 says, when I thought to know this, it was too painful for me, you know, because just to understand these things with no solution, man, it's like, damn, you know, I know if you brothers found out about the Illuminati before the truth, man, you know, my first mindset, like, God damn, you didn't even want to think about it because it's like, who gonna stop these niggas, man? Okay, because Christianity doesn't deal with the solution, okay, for the planet Earth. You know, it gives you this fairy tale about, you know, just being in the spirit world forever. No, well, there's a problem in the earth, okay, that the Bible addresses, man. The problem is Esau Edom, okay, and the solution to Esau is Yahweh, okay. So you know, just understanding this devil. I said, I know I had start going into the Illuminati, you know, before coming into the truth, and it was like, damn, who, you know, you didn't even want to think about it. Cause it's like shit, what's gonna be done? You know, to understand the information with no solution. Okay. And like you know, said when I thought to know this, it was too painful for me. Verse 17, until I went into the sanctuary of the most high, then understood I therein. So until we came into the sanctuary, which is truth, okay, then understood I therein. So now we understand, oh, the solution, okay? It was our power that propped this nigga up in power, man. Okay, and it's gonna be through our power, Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. Okay, that this man is gonna be removed from power. Okay, so now we understand their end, and that's comfort. You see, we're comforted by this. Okay, it says, until I went into the sanctuary of the Most High, then understood I their end. Surely thou didst set them in slippery places, thou castest them down into destruction. And see, now, as you know, the Lord has us on our watch, we see the Lord got this nigga set up for failure, man. This new world order is going to be a terrible attempt of the devil trying to undermine the Most High. It's going to be a epic failure. Okay, a complete embarrassment, man. So we can look out and see that the Lord got Esau set up, okay, for failure, man. You see, Esau is in slippery places, okay, and we're seeing this nigga begin to slip and stumble like a drunk man. Scripture speak about you know, just staggering his own vomit. Okay, so we see that the Lord got this nigga in a very slippery, okay, situation, man, and he's gonna fall. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be quick. Okay, but through the Spirit, as the Lord has us watching, we're looking at this nigga stumble, man, and getting ready for that big slip. Okay, and Yahweh Shai is gonna come and finalize that judgment on this nigga, man. Psalm 73:19 said, how are they brought into desolation as in a moment they are utterly consumed with terrors, as a dream when one awakens, so, O Lord, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image. Yeah, so in a moment, okay, hey, the Lord is just a build up to a quick overthrow. at the return of Yahawashi. You see, so we're in that build up to this overthrow, man. And that's what's comforting. That's what gives us ease. Okay. It says, as in a moment they are utterly consumed with terrors, as a dream when one awaketh. So, O Lord, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image, man. Okay. And the Heavenly Father despises the image, all right, that Esau is trying to establish in the earth, man. He establishes this current age. He establishes what Esau is trying to do with this. He despised, like he despised, all right, this current age, and he despised, all right, what Esau is trying to establish with this technocracy, man. And he's going to express their anger through judgment. It's going to be through Yahawashi that he's going to do that. Okay? So let's go here. Because remember, Yahawashi is coming back to wage war. We need a power to come wage war against the nation, beginning with Esau. That's what we need. Okay? Trying to outreach for the community. Okay? That does nothing for our situation. Okay? So you gonna help, out of 100 niggas that come to the community center. Okay? Two of them, go to college. All right? It's not putting a dent in the problem that we got. And then going to college, even that's it's a fraud in that. Because you still, no, ain't no fixing the system within the system, man. Okay? And if our people are not being rehabilitated by this word, there's nothing that can be done for them. Okay? And this is what we're here, to push, to teach. You see, we giving our people instructions in righteousness according to the scriptures. All right, Revelation 19:11 says, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called faithful and true, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. And this Yahawashi. Okay? And the white horse is a chariot and fathership. Yahawashi is going to be on top of. Okay? And it says, and he that sat upon him was called faithful and true. You are faithful and true to the prophecies, man. Okay? Yahawashi is coming to fulfill prophecy, man. All right, the judgment of this, all right, this righteous judgment going forth in this current wicked world. Okay, see, we complain to the courts in the heavens. We don't complain. People want to march and protest and go to their city hall and go, more people are being active lately with the whole city hall thing, speaking out against the data center. So you see, more people, a lot of Jake. There's a lot of Jake that's going out there, to these city halls, which you get it, it's not a foolish thing that they're doing, to try to stop those data centers. Okay, wait a minute. There's already a solution for the data center. Okay, you see all this included. You see that's included in Yahawashi's righteous judgment. Okay, these data centers are going to be melted. There will not be one, okay, data center in the kingdom. Okay, we're gonna be the data center within the new bodies. We're gonna be open up to being able to retain, way more information and knowledge. You see? So the solution is the judgment of Yahawashi and the righteous kingdom that he's getting ready to establish, man. That's the solution of the matter. It says, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, Yahawashi on their chariot, and he that sat upon them was called faithful and true, and in righteousness he doth judge, okay, and make war. Okay? So Yahawashi is coming to wage war in righteousness, man, which is going to solve the complete atrocity that Esau calls a kingdom and a rulership, man. This man has completely, all right, turned the earth, all right, into wicked, dark, rebellious, perverted, lewd. Okay? This is a terrible situation to be in the planet Earth, man. Okay? What this man has done. to society, man, what he has done to life, to people. Okay, but it's gonna be Yahawashi is gonna come clean that up, man. Now, when you let's go here, Jeremiah 23:5. Let's read in the NLT. All right, so you go here, Jeremiah 23:5. This NLT says, "Behold, the days come," said the Lord, "that I will raise unto David a righteous branch." Okay, and that's Yahushua. Okay, you know the conquering line of Judah. As you read in Revelation 5:5, well, you know this is the lineage of Judah that's being spoken of, all right, through David. Okay, through King David. It says, "And the king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth." Okay, so Yahweh Shai is coming to execute on judgment. You see, we're speaking about, you know, we can just verbalize. You see, Yahweh Shai has the authority to come, okay, and execute global judgment, okay, and justice in the earth. You see how Shai has that power. Because remember, what did before he left? All right, you go to Matthew 28. This is Matthew 28:18. And Yahweh came and spake unto them. This is after the resurrection. All right, he spake unto them, saying, "All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth." Okay, so you see how Shada has dominion, you know, the angels, the left and the right hand. All right, the archangels. You see, he has authority over them. Okay, and they're in full subjection to his commands. And that's the authority given to him by the Father. You see? And now he's getting ready to come and exercise, okay, his authority in the earth. Okay. He's coming back to wage war. All right, which is a part of which is within his authority given to him by the Father. Because all power is given by who? The Heavenly Father. Okay? So Yahweh Shai has the authority this is his jurisdiction. All right, to judge righteously in the earth. You see? So this is what we're getting ready to see. You know, a higher authority to come back and deal with the affairs of the world through judgment. Okay? And this is I say this is what the earth lacks more than anything is righteous judgment, man, because it's being ran by, all right, the top criminals, okay, which is the elite of Esau, okay, them Amalek. So let's go from there. When you go to Isaiah, we always get it. It's the book of Isaiah. It's Isaiah 32:1. It says, "Look, a righteous king is coming, and honest princes will rule under him." Wait a minute. So a righteous king is coming. That's Yahweh. He's on the way. Okay, and we're looking at the signs that indicate, all right, that he's close. Okay, he's close to being sent back. All right, you can look and see what's going on and see that the Heavenly Father is finna loose Yahweh, okay, in the earth, man. Okay, to come what? Execute judgment, righteous judgment, and justice in the earth. Okay, and he's going to establish a government, a righteous government. That's why I said, and honest princes will rule under him, and that's the begin with the first fruit. Okay, those honest princes, the earth is going to be ran in honesty, man. Okay, you're not going to have media that's lying to you in the kingdom and, you know, sneaking, poison into your food and, false flags and all. See, this is nothing but a kingdom of lies, deception, and confusion, man. No, the earth is going to be ran by YAHAWASHI, and it says that honest princes or honest rulers will rule under him. You see that? So these are the times that we're coming into, man, when righteous government is going to be established, man. They're going to have an honest and righteous government of integrity that runs the earth. Okay? And you heathens will be paid back. Okay? The 1,000-year period is a punishment to you heathens, beginning with Esau. And after that, Esau is going to be done away with. Okay? And eventually, you heathens will get to enjoy what a righteous kingdom, the perks of a righteous kingdom. You'll never be nowhere near the level of an Israelite. Okay? You won't be in the new covenant, you won't have the new bodies, you won't have the access, to the things that Israelites have access to. Okay, but you're gonna fare all right, far better than this current situation with this nigga, man. Okay. So I'll leave it there. Just want to tap into that. All right, Lord, will you brothers, all right, and you few sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, and Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards y'all brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the whole Shalom.